Hello and welcome to the webinar today. I am happy to be here with you and talking a little bit more about how we can ensure labor compliance using WorkMax. So thank you again for taking the time out of your day and jumping onto this quick webinar where we can talk a little bit about labor compliance, some of the challenges surrounding labor compliance, and how WorkMax can help you stay more in compliance as a company. My name is Spencer Pope. I am a regional sales manager here with WorkMax, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have during this webinar or even questions that you may have after the webinar. You'll see all of my contact information here with my direct phone number as well as my email. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have additional questions, or maybe you have a more unique scenario where we can dig a little deeper into the specifics that you need me to cover surrounding how we would help you be in more compliance as an organization. So today, we'll be talking about ensuring labor compliance using WorkMax. And the question comes down to, okay, well, why do we need to worry about labor compliance? Maybe for all of you, that's a fairly easy answer. And it is for me as well. Why do we need to worry about it? Well, the major things are liability. How do we protect our company from liability? Which ultimately ends in, for a lot of companies, in lawsuits or fines. So just to tell you a quick story about an organization that I worked with. This organization was fairly small, so they thought they didn't need to worry about compliance as much and all of the details of compliance. They were in a location where the government's laws mandated that they needed to make sure that their employees received their breaks each and every day. So they need to receive a break in the morning, a break in the afternoon, as well as they were required to receive a lunch break and then have those employees sign off on their time. This company did not do that well, and one of their employees went to a lawyer and said, hey, I didn't receive all my breaks, I didn't receive all of my lunch breaks, and I'd like compensation. So this lawyer, along with this employee, they sued this small company. This was, sub 30 employees for $3.2 million, which I thought was a fairly large sum for such a small company. Of course, they were stressed out about being sued for $3.2 million. They ended up, in the end, working through mediation with this employee that, well, obviously left the company as they went through this process of suing their employer. In the end, even going through mediation, after what they had to pay the employee plus all of the legal fees, they ended up being out $175,000. So making sure that you're in compliance and that you reduce your liability can be absolutely huge. And in many places, especially if you have stricter labor laws in which you need to stay in compliance, it's not a matter of when you're going to run into those, or if you're going to run into those issues. It's a matter of when, and when employees might decide to say, hey, I don't think you're in compliance, and I am now entitled to some sort of compensation because you were out of compliance with whatever labor laws those would be. I've just notated a couple of things that organizations have told me, hey, we need to be in compliance with these. If there are other things that you have in your organization, please put it in the questions or put it in the chat, and I'll try to make sure I address that as we come either to the end of this meeting, or we can follow up and set up a follow-up meeting if yours is very specific. Okay, so what do we need to check or verify to make sure that we're in labor compliance? So there's a couple of things. I did mention some of those that we've talked about with this organization that did end up getting sued. But the first is that their employee is getting their appropriate breaks. Uh, Second, the employee is getting their appropriate lunch break or meal break. And the third is that an employee's time is correct and that that employee themselves verifies that their time is correct. Okay, WorkMax can help you do all of this and more. First, I'll touch at a high level on how WorkMax can help with this, and then I will actually show you by going into the WorkMax mobile app and show you how, as we're collecting time from the field, we can also ensure that we are in compliance with all of these labor compliance challenges here in verifying this data. Okay, so every day in WorkMax, we can help you easily confirm that the employees got their appropriate breaks, that they got their correct lunch. I do know in some areas that you have to have that correct lunch, even in a certain time period that might be before the end of the 5th hour of their work time. And then verifying that their time is correct and having them sign off that their time is correct as part of that process. So here's where jumping in. As part of WorkMax, as that employee is completing the clock out to capture their time record, we're going to require that they answer specific questions as part of that clock out. WorkMax does allow you to answer any or ask any questions as part of that clock out process that you need to. So you're not limited to just compliance questions. You could ask, if they had any delays on a job today, or if they had unsubmitted expenses or anything you needed to. But this specifically, now we're talking about compliance. And so we're going to ask that employee, did you get your meal break of at least 30 minutes or more in the first 5 hours of your shift? And the beautiful part about WorkMax is that if they answer no, I did not get my break in the appropriate time period, then when they say no, we're going to capture additional information. Then we're going to require them to give us a reason why they didn't receive their break and sign off on that. And as soon as they do that and submit it, that notification that they did not receive their lunch will automatically be emailed to the appropriate person or people. So you can do whatever you need to do internally to make sure that you're in compliance with that labor law. I know in some areas that if they don't get their meal break, that they're entitled to an extra hour of compensation. I know it's same thing for breaks. So this process would be very similar if they said, hey, I didn't get my appropriate breaks today. They would need to detail why they didn't receive those breaks, and then you would be notified right away, hey, this employee is telling me that they did not receive their appropriate breaks today. Okay, that is done on a daily basis as we are capturing their time record from the field. Okay, in terms of capturing signatures on to verify that their time is correct, as you are capturing data here in WorkMax about what they were working on and how long they worked on it, as they complete a clock out at the end of the day, we can then have them review the time that they worked and have them sign off on that record right there, so that every single day you're getting a signature to approve the time that they worked. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'd like to jump over to my mobile device and share that screen with you. WorkMax will work on both Apple and Android devices, cell phones, or tablets. The employee here, I have an employee that already clocked in. So I had Francisco, California clock in, and now I'm going to come to the end of his shift where he needs to clock out and verify that he received his appropriate breaks, his lunch, and sign off on his time record. So here, I'm gonna put in a PIN code that's gonna allow him to enter the system. You'll see here it's showing me that he's been clocked in working on a specific job and cost code for about an hour now because I clocked him in right before this webinar. I'm gonna select clock out, and as part of this process, you'll see that I am required to fill out not my clock out questions as well as to review my time. I cannot complete my clock out and finish my work period for that day until I have completed the required parts. So here, as I go into a California clock out, I'm gonna say, hey, I'm ending my shift. I do have a question in here. Were you injured on the job today? It's a very common question that organizations want to know. Say, hey, were you injured at all? And if you were, let's make sure you're taken care of. Okay. Did you receive your required breaks today? In this case, I'm going to say yes. Did you get your meal break of at least 30 minutes in the first 5 hours of your shift? In this case, I'm going to say no, I did not receive that meal break. I'm then going to sign off on this and then hit save. And then that will trigger an additional requirement because I said I did not receive my meal break of at least 30 minutes or more. That requirement is to me give the reason why I didn't get my meal break. In this case, I might say, my foreman made me work. You can also enter this data via talk to text easily as well. So I'm going to enter this reason, then I'm going to sign off on this as part of this process. And as soon as this is completed, that notification that I did not receive my meal break today will automatically be emailed to the appropriate person or people. So right away, they're notified, hey, I did not receive my appropriate breaks. Then I can review that time that I have worked. Here you'll see it shows my in and out time as well as my total time. I can sign off on that and now approve that time as part of my clock out. And I can hit confirm then to complete my clock out as part of that process. If you do have any questions about what I'm showing you or anything else, please put it in the chat or put it in the notes and we'll try to get those answered for you. So with WorkMax, we can easily help you make sure that you are in compliance, that you are capturing that your employees took their appropriate breaks, that you are capturing that they took their appropriate lunch breaks, or if there are additional compliance requirements that you have, we can help with that as well. In addition, we're also, as it's showing here on the screen, be able to help you make sure you're capturing employee signatures to make sure that their hours are correct as they are submitted. In addition, you might have safety requirements where you are required to, for example, have your employees go through toolbox talks or safety meetings on a regular basis and have them sign off that they participated in that safety meeting and that they reviewed that with the appropriate supervisor. Within WorkMax, we can help you capture all of those toolbox talks. They can be presented either individually to each employee or be presented to a group, which is most common, and then have each individual employee electronically sign off that they were there, attended that safety meeting, and reviewed the required safety material for that week. In addition, WorkMax can help with all different safety things that are required for your organization to be in compliance. That might be anything from JSAs or to JSAs to near misses to incident reports, injury reports, all of those things as well. And we can help you stay in compliance with all of those different pieces of any sort of safety requirements for your organization. Okay, a couple other things that I wanted to discuss here were other ways to make sure that you were in compliance, and some things we notated when we sent out the information for this webinar, and that is the ability to use things like shift rules in WorkMax. So you can have start times that are identical, stop times that are identical. In WorkMax, we can set forth shift rules so that you can enforce either start times or stop times or both. So that if you do have employees that are showing up to work, they might be showing up at 6:47, sit around and drinking coffee for 13 minutes and then starting to work at 7 because you have a specific shift start time. You can enforce those in WorkMax. So you're making sure that all your guys' time will start at 7, and you can make sure that you are in compliance with those specific shift rules. If you do run into areas in your organization where you're like, oh, we've got to go back and review to make sure that everything was correct, in WorkMax, we make it really easy for you to go back and review your audit trail. If data was ever changed in your WorkMax account, if you had a supervisor need to change it, WorkMax will automatically always save original start and stop times. And if you need to dig deeper into those details, we do offer an administrative full-time audit log report that will allow you to go back and see what individual things were changed on any records and who made those specific changes. This quote here is from Holly Reynolds at Martin Zoback. She said, based on how well our audit features work in WorkMax, that WorkMax has made the audit process very smooth, very easy. It was smooth and seamless and super easy. What else do you want from an audit? So to review with WorkMax, we want to make it super easy for you in the office to make sure that you are in compliance with any specific labor laws that you run into. Again, that might be making sure that they receive their appropriate breaks or lunches, or that they're signing off on their appropriate times. Okay, I do want to thank you for jumping on. This has been a very quick webinar, but I wanted to make sure I touched on the different parts in which WorkMax can help you to make sure that you are in compliance with specific labor laws. And I do want to open it up for any questions. So if you do have questions, please enter them into the questions box or into the chat box there in your webinar meeting, and I will address them. Okay, a quick question about, hey, as we're capturing that data from the field and asking the specific questions if they received their breaks or they received their appropriate meal breaks, is that wording adjustable, or can we change it to make sure that we're in compliance with what our lawyers say we have to do? And quick answer to that is yes, that's very easy to adjust any of the wording inside of WorkMax and even the specific questions. So if you do need to ask other questions and you want to change that wording to make it specific to what legal has told you you need to do inside of WorkMax, you can easily do that to make sure you're in compliance with whatever your needs are based on your local laws or regulations. Okay, any other questions that you might have that I can answer for you as part of this webinar? Okay, I want to thank you again all for jumping on. My name is Spencer Pope. If you do need to reach out to me, you can reach out to me directly at spencer.pope@workmax.com, and I am happy to answer any questions you have or even set up a follow-up demo with your specific organization and the specific needs that you do have. Also, please feel free to check out any of the other things that we offer as an organization. We are part of Foundation Software and do offer things like the HQ Suite. If you do have payroll needs, we can help you with payroll for construction. If you need any estimating and you're a mechanical or plumbing contractor, we can help you with McCormick. Or if you're doing more things like roofing, we can help with Estimating Edge. And of course, if you want best in class time tracking and data capture from the field, please reach out and we will set up a demonstration for you of WorkMax. Thank you again for joining us and have a fabulous rest of your day.